Mean that people are running around as headless chickens?
Yes, they are running like headless chickens.
Why is it that they're not able to make money?
People are trying to do everything at one time.
People just don't want to grow. Is this about information overload?
Too much of abundance of information could actually lead you to distraction.
You've mentioned that information is scattered so much that at times it can be overwhelming.
Yes.
But there is a tool available that can bring all that information under one fold. Donald, so we're back with a topic that we've probably discussed over the past 2 years now. And we finally made it to ensure that we put this on record. And the topic has been that ideally we've been discussing this since 2020, but we sort of harping on it on 2023. That when information is available on the internet, why is it that one, people are not able to take advantage of it? And in the context of the things that we usually talk about, why is it that they're not able to make money? Now, the reason I wanted to talk to you about this topic is because we've tried everything, right? Um, COVID tested our patience. We probably tested every possible bit of information we came across. We learned some of the lessons the hardest possible way. And we've also come across a realization that people just don't want to grow.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an exciting topic, folks. It's a topic that Donald and I have been discussing amongst ourselves for so many years. And it just felt right to come to you and express our thoughts. So to get this chat started off, is this about information overload? Do you think that there is so much of information available and that people are just not able to decide, or they're just getting overwhelmed? Is that the case?
Yeah, partly that is the case. Uh, Too much of abundance of information could actually lead you to distraction because your brain could capture as much. Um, like probably like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, people were just limited to books. They could always, uh, go back to the pages that they wanted to. Whenever they would want to refer to a particular page of a book for a particular piece of information, they would probably go back to that page. They had that facility, right? And you cannot read. You cannot read like I don't know of anyone who would read 5 to 6 books at one time.
You know of a few people, that's a tiny minuscule percentage.
Yeah, but it says it all, right? You cannot do everything at one point, one time. That's exactly what is happening right now. People are trying to do everything at one time.
Doing everything at one time when the information is scattered.
Yeah.
For the lack of better word, and maybe I mean disrespect to a lot of people, does this mean that people are running around as headless chickens?
Oh, yes, people wouldn't probably appreciate what we are trying to say, but then, yes, they are running like headless chickens, and they don't know about it.
And one of the reasons I brought up this point, and I'm probably bring it back to our operations and maybe mock our team, but it's important that we also accept the fact that we have such people within our fold as well, right?
Yeah.
Now, technology and the information available because of it is unlimited, as we've just discussed.
Yeah.
And within our virtual assistant space today, things have become in a way easy to execute, especially when we talk about the admin tasks, the customer support tasks that our people are so apparently comfortable with.
Right.
But when it comes to utilizing simple tools that are available, like the Chat GPT, I mean, everyone knows Chat GPT, right?
Right.
But when it comes to utilizing that particular tool to enhance the experience that the guests get, especially in the short-term rentals niche, that which is our largest niche within our space,
Right.
I fail to understand that in spite of giving demonstrations to them, in spite of showing them how to use it, in spite of showing them how to prompt it, why is it that it just seems to fall on deaf ears? people seem to have gone into that comfort zone that I'm probably am good at writing 3 statements, and I will probably use those 3 statements, even if it means that it ruins the customer experience, but I'm good at it and I'm probably going to just stick to it. And it just goes on to again prove your point that, and maybe the point that I made is if they just want to live like headless chickens.
Yeah.
I said that I'm going to put, I'm throwing my own team under the bus, but I mean, if you're going
We
to,
always talk about it.
if you're going to, if you're going to hold the world accountable for it, I think the charity starts at home. We need to start acknowledging the fact that our team is equally guilty of it, right? And it's not that it's too hard, right? You've mentioned that information is scattered so much that at times it can be overwhelming.
Yes.
But there is a tool available that can bring all that information under one fold. I mean, I will again go back to ChatGPT. You don't really have to go and read 10 different articles to educate yourself on a particular topic. Today, with the latest releases that OpenAI has announced, with opening of the ChatGPT search to even non-paid users, you've practically brought the idea of searching the entire internet down to one single prompt and then reading it.
Right.
And yet, our team, and I'm sure an extension of our team, a lot of people around us are just not wanting to do it.
While I'm talking to you on this particular topic, we would talk on and on about this particular topic, but right now I'm actually blank. I'm thinking about it, where to start. What I understand is, like, of course, there is too much of information to be assimilated. One, people are trying to do too many things at one particular point of time, which is humanly not possible at these times. You could multitask within 2 or 3 things. Like, let's say you do it, you're good at it. Let's say you're listening to something, and at the same time you're trying to type, right? And you would pay attention to what you're trying to listen to, and at the same time you are on your typing board. However, imagine you trying to listen to something while you're exposed to a noise outside. So that's a distraction, right? You cannot pick noise. You don't want to listen to that noise.
Agree?
Well, there you cannot multitask. It's very,
Very difficult. I agree.
Sometimes it could happen that people say that, okay, I'd be on a conference call while I'm trying to drive. Now, we've seen a lot of our clients trying to do this, right? They say that they don't have time. But I would say, if you really want to take time out for someone, you would really stop
Absolutely,
over there.
yes.
Probably spend like 15 or 20 minutes of your precious time.
It's an easier conversation.
It's an easier conversation, and you would actually be a part of, you would participate much better than you're trying to pretend as if you do not really have time, or maybe you do not know that you have too much of time, but you're trying to run because you don't know where you're going. You don't know where you're going.
Coming back to the headless chicken syndrome.
You don't know where you're going. That's one of the, you said it, headless chickens, and it's in simple words. It's like, when you do not have your day organized. A lot of times, even I fail to organize my day, but I was not like this when I started. I used to be highly organized guy when I started. Right now, I got a little slack because time is at my side. I can buy time right now, right? I'm not trying to flaunt it, but hey,
You can,
money
you
goes,
can.
right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yes.
I've paid for these times, right? So I like going slow right now, a little slower, not that slow, but then I like to take my own time, right? But when I started, I was highly organized guy. I would always walk with my diary and a pen. I'm taking notes on my cell phone. Worst case is I would record the whole conversation. Let's say I'm sitting on a one-on-one meeting. I would simply ask the person the other side. I would ask that, would that be okay if I record this call, not a video, but then I'd put
An
my
audio.
pen on so that I could take my notes later on, right? Put the recorder on, play the recorder on, and turn the recorder on, and then I would put it on the table so that the whole conversation gets to get recorded.
You did that in an era where transcription was not available. You had to transcribe your own recordings,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Today, you are in an era where you can transcribe your own recordings.
Yeah, yeah.
Not just buying expensive tools. Even if you're an iPhone user,
Yeah.
your phone does that for you, right?
Yeah.
And yet, people do not want to use that, do not want to remain organized, and then practically think, did I even have that discussion about this? And then piggybacking on your point of being distracted, right? Social media plays an important role
Oh, yeah.
in decimating this information to every nook and corner of the world, right? But isn't that same social media a distraction as well,
Absolutely.
right?
I mean, too much of anything is not good for you.
And the reason I brought up that point is that, one, obviously, it comes up with a lot of content that keeps distracting you.
Yeah.
And we all know how addictive scrolling through reels is, right?
I've been addicted
Right.
to reels.
And more importantly, when you keep watching content on a particular niche, you start getting reels around that point, and I think that's where the confusion and distraction also starts, because now you're getting information around the same subject through 10 different sources. Source, I mean, if I have to really give you an example, 2 weeks back we spoke about creating faceless videos, right?
Yeah.
And I started exploring that particular topic and started reading articles, watching YouTube videos, and the next thing I knew was that my feed was ruined by. The reason I use the word ruined is because now I had 11 different creators or videos from 11 different creators claiming to be giving me the right hack to launch my faceless faceless videos YouTube channel. And I said, yeah, that's too much of information. I'd rather now focus on an area that I believe I can execute,
Right.
rather than running in 11 different directions and then eventually getting confused and not getting anywhere. And which is why, if you remember, I probably put my foot down and I told the team that you may like or not like my suggestion. I am going ahead with this experiment and let's see how it pans out, because I did not want to get myself distracted. Absolutely. And would it be harsh to say that if I could do it, why aren't people able to do it?
Yes.
It's harsh.
Yes, it is. But then that's for people. If someone wants to take it in a positive way, then that could be an inspiration or maybe a torchbearer, you know. But then I would say people got into that syndrome of gathering knowledge, but then not being able to retain it, first of all, because it is not humanly possible for you to watch a podcast, maybe like an hour long podcast. If you are watching, there are people who are trying to do things for good, but somehow they are trying to do these things in a way that would not help them. And there are people who are not trying to do anything. They are just consumers. They choose to be the consumers, and if they're happy, let's not even talk about them. Like they're cool. But if they're not happy and happy being a consumer, right, and they do not want to come out of their comfort zones of also being a creator, partly, if not completely, but then partly, then seeing the difference between being a consumer and a creator, you would be able to judge the sites in a better way, right?
Definitely have a point.
Yeah, that takes a little efforts, right? So there are people who want to be there but wouldn't take actions and always have excuses for their own laziness.
Procrastination.
Yes. I'm just trying to make it simple for people, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I like using educated words. It just makes me feel better. But no, more importantly, you have a point. I mean, people procrastinate, but the reason I latched on to that point is that why is it that procrastination comes in when we're talking about growing from it or developing from it, or maybe in our case eventually trying to make money out of it? Why is that procrastination doesn't come in when we have to scroll a reel or watch a season of Suits, or maybe eagerly wait for the next season of Ashram 4, or maybe people going around telling us, oh, you should watch Game of Thrones, it is the best series that you've ever watched? Yeah. Why is it that procrastination doesn't come in over there, but it comes when it revolves around growth?
It's easy to be a consumer. You can easily pass on judgment sitting at the audience side, than standing at that uncomfortable zone right in front of everyone and feel uncomfortable. Right? It takes a lot to be a creator. So people like to be at that easy side and still be able to make it there, which is not possible, right? then you got to be hit by luck. And not
Right.
everyone can be lucky, right? Some
Oh,
people are
absolutely.
lucky.
Some are.
Some are lucky. I won't deny that. That's where I started believing in luck, but not everyone can be lucky, right?
Agree.
So you got to be sometimes playing the um, role of the person that standing at that side, right? That's when you get to see what's the difference. Somehow people don't want to feel uncomfortable. They always want to be comforted, and they always want to be like within the zones, hiding behind their desks, or um, not being in front of the cameras, or not being over the phone calls talking to people, and then not being in front of the crowd. So they think that I would only do what I'm trying to do, and I expect some miracle to happen. While doing the same thing over and over again, well, you cannot produce different results, right?
And that particularly gave me one more thought to
Sure.
sort of,
Yeah.
uh, take this conversation to on on this particular topic on to its conclusion end. Um, you spoke about people wanting to be in the comfort zones,
Yeah.
people not wanting to do something that they're not comfortable with.
Yeah.
Typically, fear of losing,
Fear of losing.
right? So, is it because people have a fear of losing they procrastinate, or they procrastinate, or the fear of losing comes in because they're procrastinating? Yeah, it's a chicken and the egg question.
No,
Egg
no, no,
question.
no, no. Is the first thing, the first one that you mentioned? That's the fear of losing that makes. It's the fear of losing that makes them to procrastinate things. Like they want to come up with a perfect shot. I guess even we did that to an extent.
I wouldn't deny that.
It took us a lots and lots of time to be in front of cameras because we had our own excuses.
A lot of them.
Some days really we wanted to wait for the right cameras, and then we got right cameras, and then we wanted it to be the nicest of the rooms, and then we wanted the lights, and then we wanted the participants. I saw the reluctancy there. I'm talking about my own self, right? I was trying to procrastinate creating the videos. Then I realized that's not my strongest point, and I wanted to be uncomfortable. Like that's the only way to go about it, right? So I pushed myself. Unless I do it, I cannot talk about it, people. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to do it first myself, and then say, "Hey guys, you can do it too." Right. So it's always the fear of losing. Like they always want to come up with the best shot, the best content. Uh, yeah, the best shot and the best content, or the best piece, right? The right pitch. There is no right
There's no right
pitch.
pitch. It kind of boils down to to the dialogue you've always given me, and I still abide by that. There's never a perfect agent, which means there is never a perfect pitch. You just have to make a start.
Yeah.
Now, I know I've been for the past 10 minutes, I've been throwing people under the bus. So this time I won't do that. And I then have a perspective to offer. We say there is a lot of information available on the internet,
Yes.
right?
Tons and tons of.
Is it because people are finding it difficult to segregate which piece of information should they believe and which piece of information should they ignore?
Yes. Yes. So I wouldn't totally blame the consumers who are trying to consume in to be able to learn something, because there is so much of content around the same topic. Now it becomes difficult to know who's who, right? Everyone turns out to be a guru. And that's where we want to differ. We don't want to tell people that, hey, we are gurus.
Well,
We're just learning, and we would want you to watch our growth.
And I think this is where the previous example that I just gave you, that after coming across 11 different videos and creating a faceless YouTube channel, I decided to just follow one.
Right. Absolutely.
Because I sort of knew that one, I think that has come with experience as well. And that's the next point comes in, right? That people need to develop that focus on being able to decide. So one, comprehend and then decide that this is the direction I want to go in after having consumed X bit of information.
Right.
Now, I say that comes by experience. I'm sure our current young crop of Gen Zs may probably disagree with that. They live their life on the internet. Is that a skill that it can be taught, or it just comes with experience?
Doesn't come with experience, is what I feel now. At least in this era, where you don't learn by um, the experience, but then you learn by someone else's experience, right? You don't have to experience things and waste your years. Everyone has been talking about it. I'm not trying to say something new. Yeah, if you read all these business books and then maybe sales motivation and all these books, they all boil down, the information in all these books are the same. They all boil down to the same stuff, like focus and know what exactly do you want. Know what exactly do you want for, and set a goal for that, but one particular thing to be achieved at a certain period of time, right? You need to have a target. You need to have a target. Like you cannot say that, okay, I want to be a superstar. All right, great. When? You want to be a superstar when you're 100?
Couldn't be able to enjoy it.
There's no fun in driving a Ferrari when you're 80, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So, uh, so people forget, or maybe they don't want to give that target to themselves because they don't want to come across like those fools in front of people who have tried talking about something and they failed, and they are scared to come across like someone who has miserably failed.
Implementation gap,
Yes.
right?
Yes. People are scared. People are scared of failing. They're scared of failing, and that's why they do not want to take those actions.
Where do those motivational lines go fade away in these situations, which says that you can't, if you don't fail, you don't learn. If you don't learn, you don't grow.
And not everyone like to imply those things, right? They like to listen to stuff, but then they forget. Easy, they conveniently choose to forget those lines.
I'm going to be hated for this podcast, I'm sure.
No, that's completely all right. We want people to be
Now,
less.
we spoke about not being able to comprehend. We've spoken about not being able to decide, the implementation gap. Is it about also building a sustainable habit of being a of one, like you said, decide on that goal, give it a perfect end date, and then start taking steps that
Yeah.
help you move towards that.
Only
And
towards
that's why I say it's a sustainable habit, and you have
Yes.
to create that sustainable habit.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've experienced this firsthand with you, and I know there is a process that you follow.
Right.
Now, I've learned it from you. I wouldn't deny that. One may say that uh, working um, at a huge corporation would have given me that perspective. But I'll be honest, I learned it more from you than that large corporation, right? Because with you, you gave me a very very different perspective, a very broad perspective that helped me learn. Maybe I was lucky, right? But what is it that you feel has worked for you when it comes to that setting that goal with the target and then moving only towards it?
Yeah.
Does it need sacrifices?
Yes. First of all, I'm glad that you think that way. That you learned this thing with us. Um, yes, there are a lot of sacrifices on the way. However, you do not need to term those sacrifices as sacrifices, right? So I heard this beautiful line somewhere. I don't really remember where does it come from, but I heard it. Like there are people who are talking on a podcast. Yeah, it was kind of a podcast long back. This person says, if you call your struggles as struggles, then you probably were not enjoying your struggles. If you enjoyed your struggles, you would never call those things as struggles. And if you really enjoy something, you would tend to do good because then you're not taking a look at your watch.
It's a very deep thought.
Yeah.
Care to expand a little bit on more?
Sure, yeah. Again, one more line that I've come across. If you want to buy stuff without taking a look at the price tag, then you need to work your ass off without taking a look at the watch.
So, people, if you want to be in a position to give that statement, take note of that statement that he made, that if you start terming your sacrifices as sacrifices, then you really did not sacrifice anything. You just did it to tell people I did something.
Yeah, you're looking for sympathy.
And success doesn't come with sympathy.
Again, I would again give it a fancy terminology like instant gratification.
You use that.
Yeah.
You use that term very, very frequently. But I mean, is this because we've changed with times that we're looking for instant gratification? Or it is just that we are more focused on the today than what we will achieve maybe tomorrow.
First of all, people are like influenced way too much than they are needed to by these so-called social media influencers that talk about uh, what a successful life looks like, and a perfect life partner and a perfect job or a business and a perfect car. Everything's perfect, right from the faces to the lifestyle to the places they go and the person that is with them. Everything looks beautiful, right? People are trying to change that. People,
without knowing that one, that could either be a farce,
yeah,
or someone has put in 20, 30, 40 years of
yes,
crazy effort
right,
to now be able to show all of that.
right. So I know a few YouTubers. I probably wouldn't be able to. They don't know me, by the way, but I've been watching them for a very long time now. I'd like to take a few names. Like one is Ranveer Alavadia for sure. I did see how did he evolve. How has he been evolving all these years? Right, he's been consistent. Yes, whatever you call it, but then he's been doing what was needed. Then I saw Iman Ghazi. I always have been
A
talking about
huge inspiration for you
yeah,
and a lot of other
yes, yes.
people.
Young guy, right? Young guy, but then very, very focused. Then I saw someone like Pat Bet David.
Oh, I love his podcasts.
Yep. So they were really consistent and they kept going after thing, one thing. And I could see every time they would come up with a piece of content in a form of a podcast, they would have the nuggets ready for them, right? They would do their research. They would strategize their talks, right? So they did work on that particular thing. I tried verifying the information that they were trying to share on the podcast. And guess what? Everything turned out to be spot on, which means they did their research really well. And it took time for them, right?
It took time.
And they were consistently doing it, right? It takes time, like 10 years. It took these people that I'm talking about, it took them somewhere between 10 to 15 years to be here where they are right now.
Absolutely, yes.
People don't see that,
I think they choose not to see it.
choose not to see that, right? It's very much like people want to see the rising sun,
Only the rising sun.
only the rising sun.
So, which means the definition of growth has now suddenly gotten changed from long term personal and financial growth to a short term and, as you call it, instant gratification.
Instant gratification, right? People want things right now, right now. And if you're not able to achieve those, then you have a sob story behind it. Why were you not able to do it? Because of
I didn't have the
heartbreak,
money.
heartbreak, money, uh, maybe like your friends ditched you, your parents never supported you, and parents didn't have money. Well, I would say parents did that hard work of getting you into a school, and it was your job. If you are out of your 12th or high school, you don't need to have money.
Just
Go and earn your own money, right? In the cities, specifically in metro cities like Bombay. I guess you started working. What age did you start working? 15, 16, 18, 19 max?
well, I think I was in second year BCom.
So it was like what, 16, 17?
16, 17. Yeah, second year BCom is when I got my first job.
Yeah.
Worked through all of second year BCom, worked through all of last third year BCom. Um, and right after the exams were done, I was actually out looking for a more permanent job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I sort of really early.
Absolutely. I would say all the folks from metro cities and are between 30 and 35 or 40. I know a lot of them, they've started way too early, like 14, 15, including me, right? Everyone. Now we see, where did they get the experience from? Why would they talk like this? Why would they be able to do things in a different way than the others, the youngsters specifically, who are scared for everything, right? They come up saying like, do we get the training? Well, we never had that formal training for anything.
For the lack of a better word, we got our asses whooped.
Yeah. So right now, I guess it is social media that is actually trying to show people a different face, that they are not supposed to be watching and wasting their time. They're supposed to be watching some brutal ones like Alex Harmozy and then Iman Ghazi and a few more people. Even in India, Raj Shamani does talk about these things a lot, right? Dhruv Rathi, to an extent, he makes solo deliveries and he makes it really, really good. They all are talking about the same stuff. Like, why are people so distracted? People have unrealistic dreams without even putting some kind of efforts. And this whole kind of this whole thing, like under promise and yeah, over promise and under deliver
Underdeliver.
is what we are seeing right now. You want to move the mountains the moment you're out of college, but then you come out like a dumb ass.
He's just trying to be very respectful right now.
Yeah, I was trying to choose some better words. You come out like a dumb ass. Then I mean, come on, you're not good enough to be adding any value to the company. I mean, what are you waiting for? You're waiting for Facebook or Google to say that, okay, we are hiring and you want to go and have free lunch there.
Yeah, even there is no freelance over there.
That's what people are thinking, right?
Thinking,
I mean,
yeah.
it used to be back a few good years ago where people would mass recruit people and they would train them, and probably place them somewhere or park them at the benches or maybe fire them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
No further. No
Right?
further.
And people are still stuck over there.
Yeah, I think the concept of adding value or bringing value to the table has suddenly diminished. I mean, it's no further. The notion is no further what value can I bring to the table. I think the notion has changed to what value can you add to me.
Yeah.
Without really adding much over there, people start to conversation how much, what value can you add to me.
Not even value. I would rather term it much direct, like how much can you give me?
Like how much can you give me, right? And I think we may be digressing from the topic, and I probably will take those 2 minutes to digress a bit. But doesn't that really boil down to how the kind of education people get?
A very good point. I could go on and on about education, but
Yeah, that's it. 2 minutes.
yeah, I don't want to go too deep into it. But then actually the schools and the colleges are preparing. A lot of people have said it already. Big people like the Infosys chairman, I guess. Was he the chairman?
Well, he's the yeah, you can call him the chairman right now.
So he did mention this, and Anand Mahindra also did mention this, right? The graduates of these colleges and the products of these schools and so-called international schools and ICSE schools and CBSE schools, the products of these schools and colleges are not prepared to meet the corporate requirement right now. And we are seeing it at levels as well. I mean, we are not even asking people to be some nerds. We're simply asking people to be, I mean, at one of our businesses where we ask people to be good at language, their ability to understand the native English speakers, where everyone claims to be watching English movies. I don't know what they watch. Yeah. Or they're just watching and not listening.
Well, I think the kind of English movies they're watching are these K-pop series.
But they are English?
Well, they're dubbed in English, which honestly.
Okay, I've never.
I mean, So just to with the idea of connecting with some of our Gen Z folks, I decided to take a plunge at that particular K-pop series drama, and it's more of drama and less of language.
Yeah.
And that's where I think even the current crop learns the drama and learns less of language.
Less of language, right? So now people come to us and say that, hey, just for the sake of it, I mean, they want to grab these jobs, and they would come to us and say that they haven't even read the job descriptions. Yeah. And when we ask them, have you read the job description? They would say yes to it. And when we would ask them, okay, what did you understand? They would go haywire, like haywire. And that's when we know, okay, you go back. We know that they have not read the job descriptions. And we also know that these people cannot communicate. Yeah. And we try to be nice to them and say, hey, you need a little bit of improvement in your language. Go read the job description. We do have free training sessions. If you really want to work with us, come join at our free training sessions online. They still don't want to come. They want to grab a job with that current level of skill sets they possess.
Pity.
Yeah.
Very, very, I mean, it's pitiable. Now, before we get back to the point, and I have a few more points to cover on this topic, you mentioned that we conduct free sessions and language trainings for them. I know we have a business
Yeah.
around it as well. So, let's quickly tell people about it. So, folks, we also have uh, uh, an offering called practiceenglish.online. It's a platform where you can come practice with our coaches. The idea is fairly simple. You come, you practice, you get recorded, and you're given feedback. Now, how are we different from the most famous language practice platform, which is free for talk? Free for talk is head for headless chickens. Keep coming back to that term in this particular section. Why? Because there is a So you have someone who practically struggles with the language, wanting to practice with somebody else who equally struggles with the language, and that's where you're just banging your heads. So instead of wasting time on such platforms,
Yeah.
make productive use of your time. Make that small little investment in learning the language and learning to communicate in the language, and achieve something which will eventually add value to you and help you add value to the organization you work with. It could be us, it could be any other organization
Yeah.
you're trying to work with, but learning the language and communicating in the language is today no further a skill, it's a necessity.
Yes, absolutely.
And the sooner you acknowledge this, the better for you. And the reason we say this with utmost confidence is because we've been running this business since 2010.
Yep.
And hence that confidence comes in where we say it's a necessity now and not a skill.
Yep.
Right. Still coming back to our topic, has the hustle culture also played an important role in people not being focused on really digesting information? Because it's so easy for any. I'm going to troll. I'm going to get really troll for this one.
That's okay. Please.
So it's so easy for these so-called influencers to come on a video and say, "Go hustle." You gotta hustle to make it, but no one tells them that it will not lead them anywhere unless they organize themselves.
Yeah.
That's shiny object syndrome. I actually came across this term while trying to prepare for this conversation. It says that everyone wants to make that first 1,000 or $10,000 by trying 10 different hustles and fail at everything. And are these so-called influencers adding to this degradation?
Yeah, they simply want people to go to heaven without dying.
Yeah, that's not possible, guys. You gotta die to go either to heaven or hell.
That's been one of my key phrases all this while. I would remind myself every now and then. Yeah, if you want to see the heaven, you first need to be prepared to be dying. Right? I mean, do not take me in the literal senses, but that I'm sure people are able to understand what I mean. So, um, we've already spoken about it, that you cannot run in multiple directions at the same time, right? Well, you can pretend to be running in multiple directions, but then you can actually reach nowhere. That's one of the things, I mean, people are trying to just make videos. There is a difference between people who are trying to do things and trying to show things, right? There are people who are purely content creator and they've never worked a business. Yeah. Ever. And probably the numbers that they're trying to talk about, millions and billions, and I don't know. I mean, has anyone shown their bank statements on the?
Yeah, that's the best part. No one shows the bank statements. No. Everyone shows that so-called AdSense screenshot.
Yeah. So AdSense, you can run an ad and fail at it and make no money, or maybe you can have 1 million views and make nothing.
It's possible, guys. I mean, again, one of the reasons why he was so confident saying that you can have 1 million views and make nothing is because we've had that kind of video.
Yeah.
We've had a video with practically almost not a million views, but we can definitely in confidence say it was about 20,000 views.
I just tried exaggerating the number.
Yeah, but the 20,000 views and we didn't make a single penny out of it. And it was a very, very strong video which got 20,000 views and it did not make money for us. And that's why we are so confident about the fact that when we blurb out these things, because we've experienced it firsthand.
Yeah.
Rather than these so-called hustle promoters who will probably push you in 10 different directions and you will keep getting pushed.
Right.
Now, I think this is where people also need to take the blame because they misunderstand the meaning of the word hustle.
Yeah.
Hustling is not about running in 10 different directions. Hustling is about being productively occupied or productively investing your time in a way that can create multiple streams of revenue for you. Right. And a true hustler always respects the fact that hustling is a long term effort. It just doesn't generate revenue today or tomorrow. It will take about a month, 6 months, 1 year to eventually for the results to start showing eventually. The problem is that these so called influencers have glorified the word hustle in a way where they have tried selling it as a concept of making $1 million in the next 1 year.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't happen. It breaks a person. It breaks the very sense of wanting to give your 100% every single day, right? Because you've sacrificed your work-life balance. Probably you've one may not have had a work-life balance if someone's continuously hustling. And when the results don't come because you've watched so many videos of so many influencers of their so-called AdSense screenshots, and you say, I did everything. I created videos. I created faceless video YouTube channel. I went ahead and clicked on job ads. I went ahead and invested in crypto, and I did real estate investing, and I still don't make money.
Yeah.
It breaks you, right?
It does. It does.
And and the reason I'm watching
own those failures. Actually, that's your lesson.
and one of the reasons I looked at you is because you've been a true hustler. In the real sense, you've been a true hustler, right? You've hustled to a you've run this business from a point where you were probably a 2 people company, which included yourself, to a 70 people company, which is 15 years down the line. And it hasn't come because you didn't hustle. So you're a true example of hustling.
Yes.
And you've experienced failures.
I have.
What inspires me the most over here is that you wear your failures as your armor.
I do. Yes. Yeah.
Where do you find the inspiration to do that?
I don't have a habit of reading books, so this definitely didn't come from the books, and it didn't come from YouTube, because when I started, there was no YouTube. We started watching YouTube maybe 5 or 6 years from now, right? Prior to this, there was nobody trying to motivate you. But then, yes, I the biggest inspiration that I could uh, bring to you guys is having face-to-face conversation with someone who had made it. Like I would constantly meet with these millionaires specifically, who are probably like 15, 20 years elder to me. And I would ask them, like, what do you do? And then I would try and learn about their business models. I would hang out with them. There were networking events in Bombay, even in the US. Uh, and you get to meet these kind of people, like realtors, and then big time realtors and brokers, and then construction guys and manufacturing guys. Then you get to know, okay, I mean, you've never thought about this product, and this guy has made the product after researching about the market. I mean, you don't have to think of making Tesla. You can think of making a tire.
Why not?
Yeah. Now, if you are thinking of making Tesla, then you need to have a mindset of Elon Musk. But I'll accept. I mean, it's hard to accept that I'm not Elon Musk, right? It's really, really hard, specifically when you're young. You want to conquer everything and you want to do everything. And uh, I was humbled several times by these people who were way too richer than me. I was a very cocky guy, but then I would go into these kind of summits where I would constantly get humbled. And this was my inspiration. A lot of times it was not inspiration, but then it was, uh, you know, I had a feeling of being a loser, being no one,
That's a bit harsh.
being no one, right? Being no one in front of millionaires. I am no one, right? I was no one. But I constantly made an effort to stand and show myself up every time in front of them, um, and prove them wrong every time. They would tell me that next time this kid is not going to be here. I was there. I was there talking about something that I believed in. Outsourcinghelpers.com. People would laugh at me. Outsourcinghelpers.com. What is that? Call
Just
center?
interesting.
People would make fun
Yeah.
of me, but I kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it. It was one man company, but then I played, I wore multiple hats and I was proud of doing that. Uh, and at the same time, I had a few folks with me, like I have you right now. Uh, if you do not have a good team, and the team members feeling that they own a piece of the business, then you can go nowhere. You need to have a good team to be able to surge ahead, right? I would say I was lucky enough to find good people. Amongst 100 people, I would find one or two good people, right?
Yep.
The rest are my experiments and my rockets that I chose to
Set off in the space.
yeah. Yeah. So that was my inspiration. I would constantly look to learn from folks who made more than.
So, folks, if you really want to, if you've missed that part, I'm going to probably bring that part again once again for you. That the meaning of the word hustle is not about running in 10 different directions for 10 different things and then failing at 10 different things. True hustling is be showing up on for that one goal over and over again. Like he said, when the so-called millionaires mocked him and said that this kid is not going to show up again tomorrow, he showed up. He practiced what he believed in. He pushed himself to a point, to a goal that he believed in, and he kept trudging ahead. That is true hustle versus starting 10 different things and failing at 10 different things at the same time.
I would always say this to everyone who's trying to make it there, like not a millionaire for sure, but then at least making some decent amount of money at job or at business. Know what you want.
Know what you want.
Know what you want. Do you want to really pursue business? Please have the balls for it. Yeah. Please have the balls for it. Don't say that you're going to do pick up a job and then think about business on the way. Like it's very much like you want to get married to uh maybe Angelina Jolie and you couldn't get to her. Now you are okay getting married to someone else in a hope to reach Angelina Jolie somewhere, right?
Someday.
Someday. That's not how it works, right? So you need to know who do you want to be with, and then you go about it. Just keep doing the same thing over and over again. It's boring. I again got this line at a very young age. The good things in life are always boring.
And I couldn't believe you more. And I think you gave me that statement when you hired me. It took me about a month to digest the fact, but then when it eventually digested, I realized why do you preach it. So thank you for that.
Welcome. I'm glad again that we all got to work together and we are still together. It's really an incredible journey to have someone supporting you for such a long time. And it all comes to us because we believe in the same way. It's important to be in that flock, right? Otherwise, you can attract different people who are trying to be one amongst that flock, but then they are not actually there.
For me, it was an easier decision, right? I gave 12 years to a summer job.
Yeah.
I would rather give my life to something that I enjoy. So I think
Something that
I
you
owe you
enjoy.
a thank for that as well.
You brought this up, this very good point and a beautiful one. Something that you enjoy. It's
Something
very
that you
hard to find someone that you really love. It's very hard to find something that you really love doing. No matter what, you wouldn't look at your watch if you love doing something, specifically the content creation or the business that you're trying to support or do. Right? Feel like a boss, you will be treated like a boss. I always say this: if feel like an employee, you would be treated like an employee. You are manifesting your own journey, right? Well, if you feel like an employee, you cannot expect results like a boss. Never. And for being a boss, you definitely do not want to start another business if you really don't want to. You can be a boss even at a company where you can be an asset to the company, and the company is going to treat you like a boss, right? Because you're an asset. Now they owe you.
Agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree.
That's how simple it is. I mean, that's what people should be working for, right? And people don't understand this. I mean, people simply want to choose business because they think that you wouldn't have to work.
Or you work thrice as hard, not twice, thrice as hard.
Yeah.
I experienced it. Right, Donald, it is always refreshing to talk to you on varied subjects. And it is, I know it's difficult to take out time, but thank you once again for taking out time
Pleasure.
and shedding light on this very, very, very close to heart subject that we've debating for 3 years. We finally recorded.
I'm really glad that we recorded it, and we intend to record a lot of these kind of videos. And folks, if anyone's there trying to listen to us, please comment down below. One, about our free sessions, if you want to avail of free sessions on trainings, language trainings, practice sessions. Second, if you want us to name out a few uh, really, really great podcasts, right? We could name them. I'm not talking about some Yeti stories.
Oh, absolutely not.
I'm talking about the ones that could make a lot of difference in your personal life, like let that be grooming, business wise, or language wise, or at your work. I mean, you come out like a superstar if you spend a lot of time watching these guys on repeat mode, right? If you watch one particular podcast maybe twice or thrice or maybe 5 or 6 times, you would be as good as them, right?
Absolutely.
And knowledge is power, people. Knowledge is
is.
equals to money.
It is.
Knowledge, if you know how to encash it, if you have the right set of knowledge, you can always encash it.
And
Right.
more importantly, I also want you all to comment your struggles in working with that information madness on the internet.
Oh yes.
Where have you struggled? And why I want you all to comment that is because we are in this together. And if there is anything that we can do to help you out, we'll respond to your comments, help you in that journey, because if you want to grow together, we are in this together. And don't forget to share this video with anyone that you believe will benefit out of this. A little follow and subscribe would be super helpful to us.
Yep.
Until the next time, stay safe and God bless.